Hello everyone, this is Mike with you guys once again, and I'm going to do something on my channel I've never done before. I'm going to review the same game twice. Why is that? Because I've recently tried out a new mode for Soma called Safe Mode. It was released for the Xbox One and PC late last year, and in February it was finally released for the PS4. So I finally got a chance to play through that, and I want to do a review because it does significantly change the game in very important ways. One of the main critiques that I had with the game, that many people had, was that the monster sections got in the way of the story. You have this interesting story that you were being told, and then when the monster shows up, immediately that was put on hold. And so, despite the fact that the monsters were well done from a horror perspective, it interrupted the narrative flow, and the narrative was much stronger this time around than the horror aspect, even though the horror aspect was very well done. They just didn't gel. It was like two different experiences gelled together, with the narrative being the more interesting one. And I always felt that this game would have been better served as a walking simulator rather than a stealth game. Safe mode fixes that issue, but the problem with the idea of a safe mode in a horror game is pretty obvious. It's how do you make it to where you can't die without losing the horror aspect? Because the problem with the park was that because you couldn't die, it wasn't scary. You don't want to feel safe in a horror game. But safe mode in Soma, which was inspired by Wuss mode, which was a Wuss mode mod for the PC, safe mode does something very unique. The monsters may not be able to kill you, but if you come at them long enough, they can hurt you. You can get knocked out. So there's still incentive to avoid them. So, although stealth is no longer a requirement, when a monster is around, I didn't feel safe at all. I still did not feel safe. I think part of it is the aesthetics of the monsters, because they're so menacing, and the audio, I think, in particular, really sells this point. But even though I couldn't die, I still did not feel safe in that world. So they were able to make it to where you still felt unsafe even in safe mode, even though you couldn't die. This freed you up for exploration. Stealth no longer got in the way, but you still had incentive to avoid the monsters because they could still hurt you if you were to, get too close to them. So you couldn't die, but you could still get hurt. And I thought that was a good balance. I thought that was a way they were able to keep the horror aspect there and keep the tension going without it getting in the way of the story. And I have to say, now that this mode has been implemented, this game is much, much better now, to the point where, had this been the game, the way the game always was from the beginning, when it first came out, I think it would have been a Game of the Year contender. It certainly would have been a Game of the Year contender for me, had that option always been there. So I'm going from a B to an A. This gets a full letter review higher, and I normally don't. I don't have a set review system, but my system is usually thumbs up or thumbs down. So based on that, let's go with that. I know I'm using letters. I use a letter this time as a way to explain it, but it went from a thumbs up to a thumbs way up. This is a must-play now. You have no excuse, and if the puzzles are too hard, all you gotta do is go online and look them up, and you'll get through them very easily. So you have no excuse at this point. Play this game. I would implore Sony and Microsoft to make Soma a free game for Plus and Gold members, because this game needs to be played by as many people as possible. This is a must-play. Soma is now one of the best games out there today. It may not be one of the best games of all time, but it's certainly one of the better games in recent memory. It is one of the best dark science fiction works in gaming. So yes, this is a must-play now. This went from a good game to a great game because of safe mode, and that's why I'm reviewing it twice. So yeah, thumbs way up for Soma safe mode. This is now one of the best games I've played in recent years. Maybe not of all time, but of recent years, this definitely is way up there now because of safe mode. The balance that they were able to maintain, you know, being able to allow you to explore without the fear of death, yet manage to keep the tension and the horror intact, is... I don't know if that can even be repeated by anyone else. It's just how good Frictional is with their storytelling and with the horror aspect. They finally managed to find that balance, and it's a balance that I can't understand how they've done it, but they did. My only thought of that is that it was the idea that the monsters can hurt you but not kill you, but I think it also had a lot to do with the sound quality, the sound design. So yes, and the atmosphere. So yes, pick this one up. You must pick this one up. You have no excuse. If you love dark sci-fi and horror, pick this game up now. It may not be I wouldn't know if I'm going to call it a masterpiece, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's definitely a must-play for sure. Much better than it was before. And it was good before. It just was unbalanced before. It just had a major issue that it no longer has if you play with safe mode on. So, definitely... that's the way that I would recommend it be played for sure, and not just because I suck, because I actually played through it originally before there was safe mode, and I got through it. So, so I just think that safe mode makes it better overall. This is a solid must-play game. Thumbs way up for Soma with safe mode for sure, and even the original game was thumbs up. The original game was good. The original game was good. I still recommended the original game. But now it's a must-play, for sure. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you in a future video, whenever that may be. Bye.